Welcome back to my Macros 101 video series. In today's video, I have a little strategy to share with you, and this one's going to be around eating out. So going to a restaurant, ordering fast food, things like that. Anytime you are eating food that you are not personally making yourself, we can sometimes feel really nervous, anxious when we can't control the food that's in front of us. So if you got started tracking macros, you have the best laid plans, but all of a sudden you know you have this dinner out coming up, or your husband or your partner calls you up and says, let's go out tonight, and you kind of freeze, you panic, oh my gosh, that's not gonna work for my macros. I want you to take a deep breath, we can figure this out. Here are some strategies for navigating eating out and continuing to stay on track with your goals. So first things first, if you know the restaurant that you're going to, most restaurants have online menus, and a lot of them actually share the nutrition information with you on the online menu. So if you're lucky enough to be going somewhere that has their menu online and also shares their nutrition facts, you can start to pre-plan what you're going to order in advance so that you can kind of take away some of that anxiety. If the menu doesn't have the nutrition facts, that's okay still. You can look over the menu and make the best, most informed choice possible. Now, obviously, there are so many things when you're eating out and you're not controlling the food, things like the oils that restaurants cook in. There's just, they aren't weighing and measuring out serving sizes. So we have to use our best guesses for things. So what I want you to do is kind of just take a look at the menu, and based on the macro knowledge that you have, based on the resources you have available to you, knowing what foods are lean proteins, what are, we know what vegetables are, things like that. I want you to make choices based on that. Look for things like grilled chicken or a lean cut of beef, things like that that are going to be higher in protein and not so heavy in calories as, say a large serving of chicken Alfredo. Yes, it's gonna have some protein from the chicken, but it's gonna have a lot of extra carbs and fats from the pasta, from the sauce. Okay, now that's not to say you can't ever order the chicken Alfredo. You definitely can, but if you are trying to stay on track with your macros, you are doing your best to stay in alignment with your goals, you have a weight loss goal or a very specific goal, you're going to want to make choices that are in alignment with what you're trying to do. So pre-look at the menu, decide what you're going to order, or pick 2 or 3 things that sound good at the very least, so that when you get to the restaurant, you're not totally full of anxiety, not knowing what to order or not knowing what to expect. Okay, so that's in the case that you know where you're going first. Once you get to the restaurant, as far as tracking that food, you can kind of use a guesstimation. A good rule of thumb, especially if you're going to a mom and pop restaurant, is look up in your tracking app something similar from a chain restaurant. So for example, you might look up the Bourbon Street steak from Applebee's. If you have something similar at a mom and pop restaurant, you can kind of find comparable choices and log that. It's not going to be accurate, but it's going to be a better case guess than just not tracking at all. So tracking something is better than not tracking anything at all. You're using your knowledge, you're using your your experience to make a best case scenario guess. You're tracking something. I like to also over track a little bit to make up, for the things like the extra oils, the sauces, the things like that restaurants throw into our foods to make them extra yummy. Overtrack a little bit, put on a couple extra 100 calories, because chances are they're in there and we don't know because we can't see it, we didn't make it, so it's a little bit harder to track. But those are kind of my strategies for eating out. Use your knowledge, use your experience, look at the menu, make a decision based on what you think is going to be the most macro friendly. Do things like order dressing on the side so that your salad isn't doused in the dressing. Order it on the side so you can control the amount. You can better estimate how much you're putting on there. Make sure you're going for grilled versus fried. All these things that we kind of know, but implement into that when you go out to eat. Use those strategies, make your best choices, log what you can, and then move on. One dinner out, one meal out, one dessert out, whatever is not going to ruin your progress. Log something better than nothing, and then just keep it moving on to the next meal, on to the next day. When you are more in control of your things, I promise you, enjoy your dinner out and use these strategies to help mitigate any kind of differences where you might see, and just keep it moving.